get a bit fed up in my videos when I'm looking at myself, because you search out eye contact when you're addressing someone. It's weird to talk to a camera because you're so used to having a body language interaction with someone. This will come up later. So I was thinking maybe I should stick like 2 eyes above the camera, so I've got something to look at when I'm talking, because it looks odd looking at me because I'm looking down rather than looking straight forward, so it looks like I'm addressing you. But anyway, yeah, it's something I'm conscious of. But at least you can see me better now. I've got lights. Shout out to Cat and Paul bringing it around. It means I'm visible. You can see all my grey hairs. I don't have to change out of the heavy metal shirt that I threw on earlier today because I couldn't be asked getting dressed properly for this. So yeah. Anyway, let's do Ask the King Part 3. It's not Ask the King Part 3. It's Part 3 of my look at his most recent Ask the King. The questions here are Cookie with the King and Cat, and some talk about the Halloween stream, maybe. It's gonna be difficult, this one. But let's go. Let's give it a go. Come on. Let's get into this.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to Twitter questions. So let us progress, shall we? A lot of Twitter questions today. HDMI Best is our first Twitter submitter. He says, "Why are you so emphatic about not doing a cooking show?" Oh boy. All right. I can seriously give you like the easy answer, and then I can give you the complex answer. All right, here's the easy answer. I'm not a cook. Phil Burnell, DSP Gaming, whatever you want to call me, asshole. I'm not a cook.
Right. Okay. A couple of things here. One, remember that. It's going to be quite important later. Number 2, it's unique to see Phil as... Look this way. It's unique to see Phil as a narcissist, as someone who is really going to struggle with accepting fault and admitting fault and weakness. To do so in that way. And there's a reason for this. And it might be a little bit... What's the word I'm after? It might be a bit speculation. But to me, it's coming across as, if you consider how he's been with Kat and Leanna, how their domestic roles within the Burnell household were assigned, to me it seems like Phil associates being able to cook with women. I mean, ignore for the time being that the fine dining industry, I guess, whatever you want to call it, is mainly dominated by men, like Marco White, Gordon Ramsay, Heston Blumenthal, Jamie Oliver. You know, it's mainly men. You get occasional Nigella Lawsons or Delia Smiths or people like that, but most of the time it's men. Most chefs are men. Cooking is a fairly manly thing. You know, being able to prepare a meal for your family should be a fairly manly thing. I can cook more than Phil. Coming up later, he admits it, and you know that's a pretty bad thing. But you know, it's easy for him to accept that fault because it's not anything he associates with masculinity or his identity as a man. It's not something that really hurts his ego in any way because he's not really associated himself with it so much. Cooking isn't a manly thing. It's always falling down to Kat and Leanna, or they go out to eat. But it's not anything. I would imagine in his regular home, it's probably a clip from that addiction video I did where he talks about it.
Went downstairs. My mom made me breakfast, which was very nice because a lot of kids don't have parents at home to make them breakfast anymore in the mornings. Then it was dinner time. I'd have dinner with my family. Sometimes my dad would be home. Sometimes he didn't because sometimes he worked different shifts.
Probably his mum made most of the meals. So to him, it's a very feminine thing. It's not a masculine thing. So it doesn't really impinge on his personal identity as a man. It doesn't affect him or his ego. So he's more than willing to hold up his hands and go, yeah, I can't do this thing. He would be probably equally likely to be able to go, yeah, I can't sew, you know. Or I don't really clean so much. I'm not the one who gets, you know, the bleach and gets a toothbrush under the toilet rim, you know. He's typically feminine things. He's okay with going, I don't normally do this. You know, so that's an interesting one for me. That in some areas he can accept some sort of flaw, I guess. No, flaw's a bit too strong. Maybe he can accept that he's not great at something. You know, where normally his ego compels him to be the best at something and to be like the definitive final word on a subject. So yeah, that's an interesting one for me. But yeah, remember the fact that you can't cook. It's going to come up again.
Why would I do a cooking show if I'm not a cook, right? Now, I can give you the more advanced answer, which I'm sure is what you're really going for, all right? The reason that people have been asking questions like this is because many years ago, I'm talking roughly 10 years ago, if not even longer, I don't know, because I didn't go back to my old vlogging channels to actually see the times of when I was doing this stuff. But many years ago, I was looking to diversify my content on YouTube for good reason. In the years of 2008 through early 2011, I was not doing YouTube for my job, okay? It was a hobby. I had a full-time job in an office, and then I would come home, and for 2-3 hours a night, I would play games, record them, and then upload them to YouTube. It became very popular. People liked what I was doing, but I wasn't making any money doing it at all.
I've been sitting on this for a while because I sort of wanted to talk about it when I talk about Phil's audience, but we need to talk about conformity here because in the 1950s, 1951 or 55, the book was published. Solomon Asch ran a bunch of experiments where he would have people come in. He would have a group of people, like 7, 8, maybe 12 people, and he would come in and he would show them 2 cards, and on one card was a line, and on the other card were 3 lines of different lengths, and you had to match the line. You know, you had to match the ones that were the right lengths. 2 cards. This line was, let's say, 6 centimeters long. This line would be 3, 6, and 12, and you'd have to match. So you'd say 1, 2, or 3. And he was interested in conformity because most of the participants would be confederates of his. They would be people who were in on it, and typically you would only have one lone naive participant. And initially, he'd go around and do it a bunch of times, and initially, like the first round or 2, everybody would answer the right answer. And after about 2 or 3 goes, everyone in the group, bar the naive participant, would give a wrong answer. It would all be the same answer, but they would all give a I'm not Phil. Despite the physical resemblance, I'm not Phil. So that's getting muted. So anyway, yeah, after like 2 or 3 goes around, everybody would start giving the wrong answer. And Ash was really focused on the one lone participant to see whether they would, give the correct answer or they would conform to group pressure. And initially, more often than not, the lone participant would refuse to conform. They would continue to give like the correct answer while everyone else was giving an incorrect one. But the more he repeated it, gradually people sort of broke down and did end up going with the group. I think in like 75 or 76% of the cases, people ended up conforming at some point. It might have been like on the 5th go round or the 8th go round or the 12th go round. But people eventually, if you do this enough, people will sort of break down and end up conforming to you and conforming to the group. And this can be a very powerful thing if you have, say, a certain way you like to discuss your previous history on YouTube. If you have a narrative that you like to present about your life, repeating it over and over again, gradually people will come to accept it because they're being worn down slowly by the overwhelming consensus of the rest of the group. And obviously, when Phil tells a story about, this is how it was like back in the day, the people who are really close around him, all these like really close fans, will buy that. They won't need much convincing because they're already on his side, so they're already primed to listen to what he's saying and accept it as gospel. But people who are sort of on the fringes, on the periphery, people who are maybe becoming fans or maybe checking the streams out for the first few times, they're gonna need a lot more convincing. So it helps Phil to be able to tell this story over and over again, and gradually it will wear them down, and people will come to accept that rather than whatever the actual truth may be. They will come to accept Phil's depiction of it, and that's every time Phil repeats something, every time he tells a tale. Again, how many times do we have to go back to, this is what it was like at the beginning of my career on YouTube. There was nobody else here doing what I was doing. People loved my content at the time. I was just, an obnoxious asshole who just played games and didn't care. Whatever way he has of portraying his previous career on YouTube, going to repeat that over and over again, because eventually people are going to buy it. Because eventually you do break down and conform. So the more he repeats it, and the more the people closest to him accept it, the stronger the chance he has of convincing other people to believe it as well. So that's just, it's a thing that's really bugged me. It's done my head in so much. And I've been sitting on it for a while, but another history lesson from Grandpa, I can't. So there you go, that's why he does that. That's why he keeps going over things and telling everybody like nobody else has ever known what it was like to be on YouTube in 2006 or 2008 or 2010. I can't. I just can't. I'm fed up. Let's get through this. Come on.
Then you could not monetize gameplay videos at all. It was not possible on YouTube. They would actually reject it. If you tried to put ads on a gameplay video, it would be rejected. They felt that it was copywritten content and there was no rights to do that at that point. This was before people realized Let's Plays could be monetized, transformative work, yada, yada, yada. Okay? But I had enough of a following that people wanted to see me do it as much as I could possibly do it around my job. And I said, well, if that's the case, I need to kind of try to make money another way to pay for all these games that I'm buying. Because some weeks I was buying 2, 3, 4 games. There's hundreds of dollars. I need a way to pay for it, right? So I opened up a vlogging channel. It was called The King of Hate HD. And this channel was meant for everything not gaming. So it was me doing vlogs of my home. It was me going on like a trip, a Street Fighter tournament, and vlogging around the Street Fighter tournament and putting that content up. It was me making jokes, doing like little skit videos, game reviews I started doing. And I don't remember 100% if I started putting them on the King of Hate HD or if that was on my other YouTube channels. But
right, so first things first, little skit videos, like Project 7, for example. Well, secondly, so you did do reviews. You did do reviews, and that does explain a fair bit of your resentment towards other reviewers, because you tried it, you failed, other people have done well at it, made careers out of it. You can see why, especially when you've got the entitlement, the ego. You've got 13 years on this site, you fucking deserve respect, because that is a legacy, When you've got that level of... Right, now when I say delusion, I don't mean delusion that you might understand it. When we say delusion in psychology, we mean it to mean just any sort of belief that isn't true, any sort of false narrative that you convince yourself of. So that's a delusion, When you've got that level of delusion about yourself and your importance, then it's easy to understand why you hate reviewers that get pre-release copies of the big games that you're going to have to rush out and buy on day one to get your views out. It's a bit more understandable, isn't it?
Essentially, the purpose of that channel was to put out a variety of videos and diversify my content, so if I wanted to monetize my content, I could. I could put ads on those videos because those videos had nothing to do with gaming at all.
All right, again, remember, he does not have problems with monetization because it's gameplay footage, and YouTube's a bit about gameplay footage. He has the specifically him. He has the problems with monetizing footage because of what he said in that intro video when he encouraged people to go and click on the ads, which was specifically against the terms of service. And it's not, Phil breaking terms of service. It seems so unusual to think back on that. But again, he's painting it that way. He's telling you this is what it was like on YouTube back in the day, and he will tell you that again and again and again, because eventually you're going to break down and accept it. 76% of you will, at least. 3/4, good odds. You'd take that. If you can convince 3/4 of your audience that this thing is true, then you'd go for it, wouldn't you? if you had no moral scruples, which, you know, as a narcissist, he has a few. So.
You see? So, in my search to create a variety of content for YouTube, I started a series called Poorly Cooking with the King. It wasn't called Cooking with the King. It wasn't an actual real cooking show. It was called Poorly Cooking with the King. It was...
We know! This is an annoying thing. We know. This bit gets to me because he explains the joke like nobody got the joke when this thing became popular because people got the joke. It's amazing. Poorly Cooking with the King. Yeah, we can all read. We all saw the first word of it. We all saw the title that you gave those videos and saw poorly at the start of that. And it's like for the first time in his life he's aware of context. Whereas previously you can't bring anything to him in context. You can't sort of like say your actions or your the things that you said in context are bad. You know, you can't because you can't take you said this thing and he goes, well, I didn't explicitly say that thing, and you go, no, but the context of your speech is this. You know, when you say, oh guys, we might not hit the sub goal tonight, he'll say, I'm not telling you to donate. It's like, but the context of that speech is, you know, and here again he's just discovered context for the first time. He's like, shit, I've got to explain that this is a joke to people, not considering that people have actually got the joke. It's fucking mental to me. BPS disclaimer, not an official diagnosis.
meant to be a joke of cooking shows, because I knew there were people on YouTube who were doing cooking shows, and I also knew there was a whole channel, Food Network. The whole fucking channel is people showing you recipes and how to cook stuff live, right? So what I wanted to do was kind of a parody spin-off of that, all right? And so the show was meant to be funny rather than instructional. I said ridiculously stupid things in the show. Like, what was it? I don't have time to do something that was like a basic thing of cooking because I'm a gamer. I can't even remember what it was. Like, I don't have time to butter my bread or something stupid. You know, it was something ridiculous. It was meant to be done like that.
I'm torn. I think some of it was a deliberate, you know, oh, let's fucking do this thing, Bob. Because he's drunk at the time, innit? He's about to admit that. He's about to say. So, I'm willing to bet, you know, a not insignificant percentage of what he does in Poorly Cooking with the King is deliberate. You know, it's going to be like a conscious choice to do something badly. But I also think a significant percentage of it is just him being bad. Like, it's a cup noodle one. Yeah, the idea of having a cooking show where you make a pot noodle is, we get the joke. We get the fucking joke. But the way he does it, I feel like that's deliberate. The way he brings it up and he's filming it and he's like, yeah, we'll do this. Fine, deliberate. He's doing it badly. But he also doesn't have a kettle, so when he tries to pour boiling water, he gets it everywhere. I feel like that is actually him being shit. You know, stuff like that. There's little bits where I think that's got to be deliberate. Because, yeah, it's fine, it makes sense. Contextually, it makes sense that, you know, you're doing a bad cooking show, this thing is bad, therefore that's fine. You know, I get where you're going there. But then there's other times where I think, pouring bacon grease down the fucking toilet, that's him. That's him not knowing how to dispose of grease. That's not, oh yeah, we'll do this because it's bad and it'll be hilarious. That's legitimately him. So yeah, I'm torn at how much is a conscious choice to do something badly and how much is just Phil being shit. But there is a good mix there. There is a mix. It's not all consciously bad. Some of it is unintentionally, legitimately bad.
Poorly Cooking with the King was the name of the show. All right? You would, if you had never seen the show, you would tune into it thinking it was supposed to be real. And then when you actually watched the show,
you'd get the hint from the fucking title.
You would laugh your ass off because I was so bad at what I was doing on purpose. Like, I knew.
People got the joke. People knew it was a joke, Phil. You fucking moron.
Knew I wasn't a cook, you know? I knew that what I was doing was...
Fuck, I forgot he sneezed. Yeah, let's have a replay. Let's have a replay of that. Fucking wonderful. He don't cover his face. He doesn't cover his fucking mouth. There's global pandemic on, Phil. Cover your fucking mouth. His arm is right there. He could sneeze into his elbow. Oh, wow, that went from funny to disgusting really quickly. Fuck. You'd think someone who had such problems with his nasal passages, someone who's had problems with his respiratory system, someone who sneezed and snorted a lot, you'd think somebody who has allergies, you'd think they'd be better at catching a sneeze. And they wouldn't, wobble their jowls so much. Look, that's not going to help I am not like DSP in any way, shape or form case, is it? Okay, now.
Excuse me. Stupid allergies. I knew that what I was doing was not serious, okay? I cooked things that any Joe Schmo could make. A grilled cheese sandwich. A bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. I think one time I tried to make tuna salad, and I failed miserably. I made it disgusting. That kind of stuff. Basic stuff. Basic stuff that anyone could do, but it was kind of silly because I was like, oh, I'm a gamer, and I'm going to show you how to do this stuff quickly. And what was funny was people actually, I had such a following back then. Even though the series was obviously supposed to be a joke, it was called Poorly Cooking with the King. People told me they learned how to cook stuff from that series, and I was like...
People engaged with it. People left you that he doesn't recognise the joke. He's just explained that this thing is a joke and then doesn't recognise that people are also joining in with the joke. How do you not... I mean, like, nowadays, I get it, you're a streamer, you have to be, like, more consciously aware of your audience, but... I mean, back then, you had to have put it up, like, the first one, and then look at the comments, but, oh, wow, people like this. Let's do more, There's a series here, there's people are enjoying this. He has to have seen it. He has to have known. He has to have, like, looked and seen a couple of jokey comments. How did he not? Did he think that they were legit? Someone explain this to him. He must have done, mustn't he? He must have thought. People going, I've learned to cook from this. Hey, I fucking learned something today, mate. He must think they're legit. That's astonishing to me. I mean, like, I tried to fit in a couple of jokes here and there. A couple of references. Little subtle things. I like to shout out, I think, Nigel from UKIP on Twitter, who found, well, it's probably all found really, but he was like the only one who said I really appreciated that little Cat's Night Out with Jim video when I did the putting all the footage into Movie Maker thing. I was well proud of that, and so it's really good when people catch it. The bit where I...
Nigger.
That. Someone called that. I was really proud of that. So he has to look. He has to be like, hey, this person's seen the joke and got the joke and he's engaging with it as well. And the fact that he's presenting that as like sincere, like legit. It's mental. I mean, I suppose you could say I learned how to cook from this video by not doing what you did. You know, it's like I think I'm shit at fighting games, but I'm better than I was before I saw DSP, because watching DSP has made me realise you do not want to be him. So he has helped me become a better fighting game player, just not how you would normally think you would, you know? So I don't know. It's mental that he put it out as a joke, and he saw people engaging with a joke, and he thought that they were sincere. So strange that you can't again, it's context. He can't contextualize that. He can't contextualize people reacting to the joke with a joke. It's bizarre. Almost like gold dust levels of bizarre. Because Phil understands WWE. AEW.
How? I wasn't good at doing that. Nothing that I did in that show. Nothing that I did at all in that show. And by the way, thank you to some people who said bless you when I sneezed. Absolutely nothing that I did in that show was valid of like being emulated to learn anything. All right? It was pretty bad. Okay? And I knew that. That's why I was acting up for the camera. I was doing silly things.
People knew that. You're not the only one who knew that. Your audience knew that. That's why they liked it. That's why they kept engaging with it, with jokes. That's why they keep asking you to do more. They got the joke and they liked it. You have a business degree. How do you not understand the concept of supply and demand?
Half the time, and this is not a lie, I was drunk half the time. Those videos, a lot of the time, were done in the middle of the night. Back then, I used to drink way too much. And I would drink at night. And then after drinking, I would be hungry. I don't want to go to bed drunk with no food in my stomach and wake up with a terrible hangover. So right before I would go to sleep, I would go into the kitchen and cook something.
Right, that's number one. That's what kebabs are for. Number two, some of the best ideas people have ever had have been middle of the night pissed out of their faces ideas. I say that as someone who's got a history of getting blackout drunk. I did once wake up to find a pizza that I'd cooked and eaten, and I didn't even remember getting home. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going, yeah, it was a stupid drunk thing. The point that you have to accept from that point on, I guess, from the moment you upload your first one, is my audience have been receptive to this. Right, okay, quick history lesson. If you remember Tim Buckley, raise your hands. Because Tim Buckley was a cartoonist who did, well, I say cartoonist. Tim Buckley is to webcomics. Tim Buckley is to comics. Tim Buckley is to drawing what DSP is to video games. And one day Tim Buckley uploaded a comic called something like Chef Brian, and it was just some random fucking, like literally random. It made no sense. It was lol, purple monkey dishwasher sort of humour. And when fans asked him about it, where did that inspiration come from, he said, I was drunk and I hadn't come up with the comic for the next day, so I quickly scribbled this thing and just threw it up, and the fans loved it, so I ended up doing more. And that's what's happened here. Phil is, he got drunk and he did something stupid and it was good, he uploaded it and his fans were like, fuck it, this is pretty good, we like this, give us more. So it's not a bad thing to accept it, Phil, but the problem comes afterwards. You have to accept that you have now created a thing that your fans have an appetite for. They want this thing, and obviously as a content creator, you are not obliged, you don't have to give it them if you don't want to. It's your content, you ultimately decide what it is, but you can't sort of say, the fans have been bugging me for this thing for ages, even though it was a drunk, stupid, petty little thing that I did. 8 or 9 years ago when I was a completely different person, and I've had nearly a decade of fans asking for it. Like, you created the monster. So yeah, and even worse, you dangled it for your audience repeatedly. You said multiple times over these 8 years, it'll be coming back at some point. I'll do it at some point. So you can't keep like dangling it as like carrots on string, the end of your stick, for your audience, and then be upset or be mad or get annoyed about having to tell the tale because they keep asking you for it. You know?
Incredibly bad bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Do you see? Matty Ice did a $5 super chat. Says, he says, you remember when you poured bacon grease down your toilet? Yes, I do. Hold on, I'm gonna go blow my nose now because I sneezed. Now my nose is running and I'm gonna cough. This sucks. I hate allergies. I fucking hate allergies.
Take Piriton.
I hate it.
Go to your doctor and get some fucking antihistamines or something. Jesus.
Ah.
Keep your window
I
closed.
hate it.
You can manage allergies.
Oh man.
Or do this another day. And you're feeling better. You're in charge of your own content, for fuck's sake. We get to hear all this. You'd sit there on stream and listen to him snorting and coughing up phlegm. You can watch it on YouTube, or at least you can skip it.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm coming back. Oh, okay. So,
Picture
the thing is, some people, I guess, didn't get it.
Oh,
They didn't get the...
people did get it. People got it. They liked it. They wanted more of it. I can't even talk. I can't even. I just. This is shutting me down. This is blue screening my brain. It's a way of avoiding culpability. It's a way of avoiding the actual responsibility of giving this thing to your audience. So much of Phil's actions are based around avoiding conflict. Narcissists fucking hate conflict. If they can avoid it, they will, because there's a risk that they might be embarrassed somehow, you know? So they try to avoid it. They'll use underhanded methods. This is why a lot of narcissists are manipulative, because they're trying to avoid conflict any way possible. Rather than come straight out and say something, they'll duck and dodge around the issue, you know? They'll you know, talk to other people about it, go behind your back. There'll be gossips. So much of Phil's behaviour is motivated by this. And in cases where it's not, it's still a very powerful influence, because it dominates his psyche. Because he's a fucking narcissist. BPS disclaimer, not an official diagnosis. But, you know, this is another way of avoiding responsibility. This is another way of saying it is not my fault that I have not done this thing for the last 8 years. There are reasons why I haven't, and it's because X, Y, and Z. It was a stupid idea. It wasn't meant to be serious. I've run out of stuff to cook, you know. And another one that we're going to get to.
Joke, because even though I called it Poorly Cooking with the King, my character back then, the attitude that I basically had in my content, is that like my shit didn't stink. You know what I'm saying? My content's the best. My shit doesn't stink. How dare you criticize if I made something in Poorly Cooking with the King and say that it was bad? No, I was good, right? That's how I was back then. That was kind of like a cocky attitude. That was what I was trying to push on the internet. That was part of the whole thing. And some people took that as me like taking it seriously or whatever. It never was. It was never meant to.
People got your character. If you want to call it a character, fine. We will do you that honour of taking that at face value. People got that as well. That's why when you started to have a few more content creators on YouTube. People stuck with you because they liked seeing you get angry and frustrated at things within video games and then gradually overcoming those goals. You know, a lot of people will admit that. A lot of detractors will admit this is why I used to watch Phil. And it's mental that he's doing this again. He's explaining it rather than accepting it as a reality. He's sort of like going, "Here, this is my reason why I'm not doing it." When it's the actual reason why people want him to do it. People wanted to see him struggle. People wanted to see him overcome things and end up with a result, whether it was good or bad, whether it was like, you know, an egg sandwich that looked alright or a tuna salad that looked shit. People wanted to see him sort of like struggle to get to that point because that's where the enjoyment of the character of Phil was for them. And I hate how he's weaponizing it here. I hate how he's using it to set up his excuse for not doing this thing when it's just easier to go, I just didn't want to do it anymore. People will at least accept that. You might not be happy with it. You might think it's a bit bullshit. But if he says, look, my heart wasn't in it, I wasn't having fun, and I just ended up not wanting to do it, that's open and honest enough that people can accept that. Everybody's got something that they've had to do and they thought, I just don't want to do this anymore. You know? So I feel about the Fire Festival video. But because everybody's got that, everybody can empathise with that, everybody can understand that, so everybody can accept that as an excuse. But weaponising the audience's appreciation of it to turn it back on them and say, nah, here's why I'm not doing it. This is why, because you didn't get it was a joke or whatever. It really gets to me. I don't know if I'd consider it abusive, but it's certainly manipulative. It's certainly within character for him to put his spin on things. So yes, it's not settling easy with me. It's not settling easy with me, that one.
To be a serious show. By the way, that show ran like, what, 10 episodes? If that? I don't even remember how many episodes I did. But very quickly, while doing this show over the course of like a month or two, okay, I actually realized that I had nothing else to do. Like, I didn't know how to cook anything. I didn't know how to cook anything elaborate. I didn't have any real recipes to share with you guys. There's one recipe I have, my homemade Italian sauce and homemade meatballs I can make. That's about it. That's the only thing I'm good at cooking. Outside of that, I'm terrible at cooking. So
yes, that was the point. This is why it winds me up so much. That was the entire point of that show. I am not going to do this show where I'm bad at cooking because I'm bad at cooking. What the actual fuck? How on earth does that make sense? It's blue screening my head. How does that make sense to anyone? I'm stopping doing this show where I'm bad at cooking because I'm bad at cooking. I don't know anything else to cook. Well, then fucking pull up a few recipes and do badly at cooking them. People don't care what you're cooking. They care about the process of it. They don't care what the ingredients at the start are or what the dish at the end is. They don't care about the quality of that. They care about the bit in between where you, a character that is bad at cooking, attempts to cook a thing. You know, the fucking Chuckle Brothers made an entire fucking career out of doing a thing badly. It is mental to me that he is using that as an excuse to not continue doing the thing. People want this thing. They ask him for it. Nearly a decade later, people are still asking him for it. And he's going, I don't want to do it because I'm bad at it. I don't want to do the show where I badly cook because I'm bad at cooking. Fucking mental. Again, BPS disclaimer, not official diagnosis.
Have anything to do for the series. And within, you know, however many episodes that it was, I'm sure you guys would probably know better than me because it's been so long ago. I haven't watched it since then, except for our retrospective events.
Oh yeah, it means so little to me that I can't remember. He knows the exact number of times he did it. But you know, it means so little to me. I can't remember. You guys will know. You've seen it. You've watched it. You'll know. I just now to me that. How many of those? Why we still talk about videos have I done? Oh, I don't know. You guys will know. You guys will. I don't remember. Fucking hell. He knows. What? That's. He's painting it as such. He's minimizing it. He is minimizing the importance and the significance of it to prepare his audience for not having it anymore. He's saying it's such a small thing that you should let go of because it meant so little to me that I have forgotten how many of them I did. He is diminishing the significance of this series to other people because he doesn't want to do it anymore. Just say, you know,
that we do every once in a while, right? After doing the show, I stopped doing it completely. I just dropped it and I focused on other things. And over the years, every once in a while, people ask, well, what happened to the show? Why didn't you continue it? Why didn't you bring it back? And my answer was because I'm not a good cook.
That's the point of the show. Right, if at some point soon I start transitioning into streaming video games, and after about 8 or 9 years, people are telling me, why aren't you doing more psychology videos? I would have reasons for that, and those reasons will probably be I'm having more fun streaming. Streaming is taking up more of my life. It's more lucrative for me. As you know, blunt as that sort of excuse would be, I would still say, because this makes me more money. I wouldn't say I don't do those psychology videos anymore because I'm still doing psychology. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense. You can't sort of square that as an excuse. You can't absorb that into your cognitive process because it's jarring. You know, it causes a sort of almost cognitive dissonance. It causes like a stumble in your brain when you go, this thing which has this specific quality, we really want more of it. We would love you to do more of it, and you know, curious why you're not, and the response is because of that exact quality. You know, if it's, you know, your production is bad and you look back at it and you think, Jesus, why were they using that camera and that lighting setup? You know, that's one thing, but he's not talking about bad in that context. He doesn't mean bad in that way. He means bad as in, well, poor. You know, he means I was a bad cook. Couldn't cook much. The dishes weren't elaborate, and I didn't make them in a good way. It's like, well, that's what people wanted. That's what people liked about that series. I don't have any. I'm doing it. I'm repeating. You know, conformity. I'm breaking yours down. But it's a thing that I just keep coming back to because it being his main defense for not doing that show is bizarre to me, because it's literally the reason why people loved it in the first place. They loved that you were a bad cook and you were struggling through cooking something, you know? And it's like, it's not that difficult to pull up a couple of recipes. Maybe do something different. Maybe do like puddings or cakes. Maybe like, welcome to Bowling Cooking with a King. I'm going to try making a sponge cake, you know? I've got some jam, some flour, some eggs, some sugar, some butter, desiccated coconut. I'm going to try and whip up a Victoria sponge. Maybe a flapjack. Flapjacks are a piece of piss. You know, brownies. Try sweet things instead. It's not difficult for him to do it, but he's so fucking lazy that he doesn't want to do it. And again, that's mental to me because there's someone who's begging for money off people. Here is a thing that people want: supply and demand. Again, business degree, and you can't concept. You can't get. See, blue screening me. You can't cope with the concept of supply and demand. You can't grasp it. I don't know where to go from here. I really don't. It's just shutting me down. This is like the legit reason why people loved it, and you're using it as an excuse to not do it. It's bizarre.
It was a joke. It was meant to be a show to have a variety of content on a vlogging channel, so I could monetize said content and make money on YouTube to pay for the games on the gaming channel. Now, in early 2011, when my gameplay channel got partnered with Machinima and I was able to monetize, I didn't want to do that shit anymore. Now, I enjoy doing Ask the King. It's a Q&A show where I answer your questions. That's a good show to continue.
Yeah, because you're getting paid to sit on your ass and talk. I can understand why you'd want to continue that as a lazy shit. So, that makes sense. But right there, he said it. I didn't want to do it anymore. Fine. That's it. That's all you need. Like, as a creator, that's all you have to give. You know, you don't have to give any more than that. You get the question. Why don't you do Poorly Cooking with the King anymore? I just don't want to. Maybe one day I will, but right now I don't. And even that's dangling the carrot. Even that's a bit manipulative. But all you need is that I just don't want to. That's it. And instead, we're getting this 40-odd minute long video so far. Fuck.
I enjoyed doing things like DSP Tries It, because every once in a while it would allow me to try a new item, and essentially back then, I would pay like $15 for a meal, $10-15 for the ton of shit I would buy for the DSP Tries It, and I would make like hundreds of dollars on the video.
How much are the ingredients for a curry gonna cost you compared to how much you would make on that video? How much are the ingredients, the oats and like the sugar and butter for a flapjack? How much is that going to cost you compared to how much you would make on that video? That was your first Poorly Cooking with the King in like 8 years. Even when he uses money as an excuse, it's a bit bullshit. Even when he tries to say financial reasons, I got more money off this video than I did off this one. It's a bit... Mash X to doubt.
Why would I stop doing that, right? That'd be stupid. But Cooking with the King made no sense. So I stopped doing it entirely, and I focused on gameplay and the vlogs that I wanted to continue, okay? So it baffles me to this day that there are people who ask me to do Cooking with the King. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, God, imagine putting out a product your audience fucking loves. What the fuck's that about, Phil? Right. When I put up the first video, people were like, holy shit, this is really good, do more. I was well taken aback because I wasn't expecting such an overwhelmingly positive response. But after that, I was like, I've got to do more. And it wasn't, oh, I've got to do more, people are asking for it. It was like, shit, people want this. I really want to do more. Fuck, let's do this. People liking something as a content creator, and I could barely believe like I can actually apply that to myself as a label. It's a great feeling because it means they're enjoying your work, and you should be like really happy for that. In 10 years' time, people are like, we really loved your video essays. Really like your criminology essay. You know, that really helped me through like a bit that I was doing at uni. People will like 10 years from now that really love those early videos. I'd be buzzing my tits off. And I'd look at them and think, that's really cool, thanks. And if they said, would you do some more? Would you go back to like doing long form video essays? Would you do like a couple of essays and things? Be like, yeah, I probably should. Yeah. Yeah, alright, give us a bit of time. Let us knock one up. Yeah. I would do that, and it's shocking to me that after so long, with the audience he's had, he's still not grasped that. He's still not understood that concept of if you meet your audience's expectations, if you meet their requests, they will stick around. You know, you're trying to build up a core audience as well, especially when you live off it, when you make your entire living off a group of people who are choosing to give you money. You would want to grow that audience, you would want to keep them around, and you would want to meet their I don't want to say demands, because that makes it sound like an audience is too entitled. But if maybe wants, maybe desires, maybe tastes, it basically requests. You know, if your audience comes up to you and goes, really like this stuff, you know, and this is. See, I'm sort of like taking this a bit personally because I was in Sunspot's stream the other day, and we talked about doing a lot of this stuff because Sunspot's having a little bit of a break on the bacon sweat stuff, and it's like, mate, I totally get you. You know, you feel overwhelming being immersed in DSP for so long and just having so much of it consume your like increasing parts of your life, but you still understand that there's an audience for this sort of thing, and if you're willing to sort of like go, look, it's on its way, but I need a breather, or I'm doing this, or I've got other stuff coming, then your audience is going to understand that, because we can all grasp that, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and sometimes you need to take a breather. But they're still going to stick around because you are meeting their desires, you are meeting their requests, and that's how you build a decent audience that when it's a rainy day and you need to ask for an extra couple of quid, they'll be there to help you. Someone offered me a fucking white pen. Shout out DSP Society. I only put that as a joke in case like people were like, pen's a bit shit, isn't it? Is it running out? But that, you know, that to me was really touching because it was an audience member coming up to me and going, I really like your stuff, I want to help you improve. I want to stick around for what you're doing because I really like it. You know, that's a really positive thing. So, yeah. Also, shout out Catman for giving me that fucking copy of State of Decay. Fuck. It's mental to me that he's like this when I'm buzzing my tits off over here at like 300 and odd subscribers who are like, you know, it is a white chalk pen. You know? And it's just mental. It's just mental to me how entitled and unwilling to give back. It's seeing relationships in purely transactional means. It's him viewing it as, you give me money, I give you this content, but the amount of effort that he puts into that content will vary depending on his mood, and gradually he has declined. You know, he puts in very little effort now. I mean, he's always put in very little effort, let's be honest. But at least when he had the video camera, he had to fucking unplug it and plug it into his computer rather than direct capture everything or stream straight from the console. So it's bizarre to me that he's just not done more to sort of facilitate the growth and strengthening of a core audience when he has had that capacity. He has had that capability for the majority of his career. So yeah, that's mental to me. And also I fucking love this because I'm nearly at 400 people. I'm nearly at 400 subs. It's fucking mental. If I could get down on my knees right now.
It was never a serious show to begin with. It lasted, what, a few months?
People
until
know!
It was canceled over 10 years ago. Why
People
in the hell
know!
would you be asking me to bring back Cooking with the King?
Because they liked it! Because they fucking liked it! I mean, why is that such a difficult concept to grasp? I genuinely don't understand that. See, it's making me hoarse. It's making me cat. Not my mate cat. Not my mate cat. K-H-E-T. Cat. Phil's cat. Not my mate cat, who's cool. Or my other mate, Catherine, who's also pretty cool. Catherine with the C. Also pretty cool. I just can't grasp that he can't see that people love this thing that he did. and still want it. But, you know, 8 years of people going, we want this thing, and he's still going, why? Because they liked it. You fucking moron.
Now, in 2018, my wife moved in with me. She wasn't my wife at the time, all right? But she moved in with me, and when she moved in with me, there was an idea, okay? And by the way, this was long before the trolling that happened to her when she was on my streams a few times, and then she decided she never wanted to be on a stream ever again. This was before that, months before that.
We're going to get to that, but first we need to break down this timeline. We need to break down this timeline because it's going to be very important going forward. Now, I've gone through to January 2018 because this is the year when he sets it as a goal, right? And in January, he's talking about his wife coming in, and he mentions it as a thing that they have been talking about. He mentions it as a possibility. He mentions that she may be on an episode of Cooking with the King in January.
Just think of how awesome things are going to be this year if everything goes according to plan, right? All these playthroughs coming out end up being successful. My Twitch streams are growing constantly, which is excellent. You know, my 10th anniversary, this year is my 10th anniversary, and I've got some 10th anniversary stuff planned for you guys coming up later this year, which I think will be really fun for stream events and stuff like that. In addition to that, you know, again, if my girlfriend does move in with me, we could start up some new stuff. Like I said, maybe we'll actually do some Cooking with the King videos where we'll try to make some meals and stuff together that we've never done before. That could be pretty cool. There's a lot of potential for great stuff coming up, folks. There is. There's a lot of potential for great stuff. I'm excited. I hope that you guys are excited too. Okay?
And late January, Swaggins says, make it the sub-goal. If you can hit 600 sub-goals, Cooking with the King. With Cat. And he does. He makes it the sub-goal.
Mr. Swaggins did a 25-bit cheer. He said, event, poorly cooking with the King and Queen. Maybe a brand new dish for the both of you. You know what? That's actually a good idea. I can tell you guys right now that within maybe the first week to 2 weeks that my girlfriend moves in with me, we are going to be trying new recipes. And maybe that's a great idea. All right. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? We're doing it. You know what? Mr. Swaggins, you've done it. Ladies and gentlemen, if we hit 600 subs by the end of January, so there's 7 days left for you to become a sub here. If we hit 600 subscribers by the end of January, I'll be doing a brand new Cooking with the... It won't be called Cooking with the King. I'm going to think of a new name for it. I'm going to be doing a cooking video where myself and my girlfriend will be making a dish. A new original dish that I've never made before. There you go. We've done it. Mr. Swaggins has done it. That's the goal. That's the 600 subs goal. Return of cooking videos. And Mr. Swaggins gets 100% credit. There you go. Everyone's flipping out in the stream chat. This is a great idea. Holy crap, that's great. So there you go. I will guarantee it that it's going to happen if we hit the goal. All right? Everyone's praise Mr. Swaggins. Amazing, Mr. Swaggins. Everyone's so happy now. There you go. Will we hit the 600 subs? Hey, if people have been wanting to see me do cooking videos for like 8 years. I'm not even kidding. It was 8 years ago when I stopped making them. I believe 2010 was the last year I did one. So if you want to see them come back, subscribe now. Now is your chance. Get those subs in. Hit 600 by the end of the month. Let's do it. Okay? All right, very good. Okay, let's keep going here.
And obviously, it doesn't reach because there's like a week left in January. So he continues it through February.
So, what are we looking for? What are we looking for sub goals this month? The first sub goal is going to be 600 subs, which makes sense. We're trying to grow, right? That first goal, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to keep exactly what it was going to be for the month of January. That way, for those who already subbed or tried to push towards that goal, they don't feel like it was like, oh, it was all for nothing. So if we hit 600 subscribers here on the channel, so, you know, at any time, concurrent subscribers during the month of February, I'm going to be starting up a new cooking show with my girlfriend, who's going to be arriving and moving in here with me in 11 days. So yeah, well, as we start to do new recipes and we start to do these things together, I'm going to be filming, as we work together to prepare the ingredients and cook things together. And it's going to be a whole new cooking series if we hit 600 concurrent subs during the course of this month. All right. Pretty awesome, right? Pretty awesome. And that's what everyone seems that they want to see. And I'm excited for it, all right? They want to see a new cooking series with me and my new girlfriend, and you're going to see it if we hit 600 subs, all right?
And he makes it the sub goal there. And in February, he loses a bunch of subs because there's a bunch of gifted subs that aren't renewed. So he drops down a chunk and he makes the sub goal. I think it's 550.
Number 2, folks, if you're not aware, yes, we are doing a drive here to try to drive up my subscriptions. By the end of this month, by the way, today's the 17th, which means there's 11 days left in the month of February, okay? Not a lot, not even 2 weeks left. And my goal here is I'm trying to reach 550 subscribers. It's definitely doable, especially because I'm playing San Andreas and, I'll be playing Dragon Ball tomorrow. We're going to be bringing in, a lot more viewers than usual. I'm not just doing, boring stuff. It's pretty interesting stuff that I'll be doing. So it's definitely doable that we can bring in another 60 subs by the end of the month. If we do so, I will be starting up a cooking show with my girlfriend Kat. What we'll be doing is picking out recipes that we feel are new things that we'd like to try, and I'll be filming the initial setup where we do prep work, the cooking and stage, and then the tasting stage. So it's going to be a totally new show. It's not going to be the return of Cooking with the King from 8 years ago. It's going to be something new and different. I'd love to start it, but we have to hit 550 subscribers by the end of the month. All right. Now, as a stretch goal, if we hit 600 subs by the end of the month, I was going to do a Patron's Choice playthrough.
But he makes it sub goal and he doesn't hit it. Right, so by March, he's scrapped it. Like, you didn't want him sub goal.
Tier 2. The Tier 2 goal for the month. 550 subs. All right, so that's a stretch goal. Obviously, that's a big stretch goal, right? If we hit 550 subs, then I'll be starting up the cooking show, which was the lower level goal from last month, and apparently it didn't really motivate many people to pledge or sub. I thought it would, considering people have asked me for a cooking show for 7 years. I hate to say it, folks. All this proves, all right, is very simple. It's a vocal minority. It's a very vocal minority of people who actually want to see me do a cooking show. In fact, it's probably 100 people or less. It just seems to me it's people who, we want to see the show, but we're not even going to, throw you a subscription on Twitch in order to make it happen. Well, then you really don't care. Really, all you're doing is you're nagging me for 7 fucking years for a cooking show that you don't really care about. It's that simple. So that's the stretch goal. If we already hit 500 subs and we do the Patron's Choice, which I know a lot of people want to see, a playthrough, a new kind of downtime playthrough get play, then, all right, we'll be doing this cooking show. All right. So we'll see how it goes. Will we hit it? I don't know. All right. Now, here's the thing. If people say, oh, well, we really don't care about the cooking show anymore. All right. Well, then guess what? I won't do that as the goal. We'll change it. We'll actually change it, all right? If really the cooking show is not interesting to you, then I will do something different, okay? And I'm okay with that. The only reason I made the cooking show goal is because I had people coming in literally every day, badgering me for a cooking show. And I'm like, well, you asked for it for 7 years, I'll give you what you want, and then no one cared. So obviously it wasn't that people really wanted the cooking show. Like I said, it was just a vocal minority who weren't willing actually to even do a sub in order to get it. So, obviously, it's not that important, right? So, that being said, let's see what happens. If people want the cooking show, they'll sub this month. If they don't, right, then maybe I'll change the goal. Let's see how it goes. Let's wait till about halfway through the month. In fact, how about this? All right, scrap the friggin' cooking show. No one wants it. If people wanted it, they would have friggin' pledged to Patreon, they would have subbed last month. Screw it. Here's what we're doing. We're doing it. I'm directly taking feedback from AES. Ladies and gentlemen, my tier 2 subscriber goal for this month is a Rageathon.
So, yeah. But, throughout February, and from the very start, he makes it clear this will not be Cooking with the King. This will be something different. It will not be Cooking with the King.
Shout out to Mizzle, who did a 333-bit cheer. No, excuse me, I screwed that up. Mizzle333 did a 100-bit share. He says, will we see Cooking with the King in the future? I've already explained this, that yes, you may. But it won't be what you think. It will not be like the whole series. God damn it. These guys are fucking assholes. We set up as a new goal, if I hit 600 subscribers on my Twitch channel this month, so there's 7 days left in the month. If I hit 600 subscribers by the end of this month, she and I are going to start up a new series of cooking videos where she's going to be trying out new recipes. I'll be helping her as much as I possibly can, but she's going to be trying out new recipes. I'll be filming it and then showing, here's the prep, here's the cooking, here's the final product. Is it any good, right? It's going to be cool. It's not going to be called Cooking with the King, because that series was called Poorly Cooking with the King. It was just me very poorly making stuff. This is going to be a completely different style of series where she's trying to make new things from the get-go, and I document it and help her with it, obviously. So we're going to be brainstorming a new series name and everything. I'm sure people will be coming up with logos and stuff for it. If we hit 600 subs this month, I'm guaranteeing that will start in sometime in February, okay? If we hit 600 concurrent subscribers in the month of February, I am committing to starting up a new cooking series with my girlfriend where we are going to be making new dishes. I'm going to be recording the before, during, and after of the making of those dishes, including showing you the ingredients, the raw ingredients as we're preparing them, the cooking process, and then the final dish as we taste it, all right? So it's going to be a brand new cooking series. It's not Cooking with the King. It's going to be a new one. We're going to think of a new name for it and everything.
So when people don't subscribe to it, when they don't subscribe to him for it, he takes it as a no, we don't want this. Because he conflates the two. And then by like July, when somebody asks him about it, he says, we had it as a sub goal, we didn't get the subs, so no.
Shout out to Android, who cheered. He says, can you make Cooking with the King a goal? I really would love to see a cooking video. It's been a long time. I did. See, Android, I just realized you're someone who started coming by the streams recently. It was about earlier this year, probably between February and March. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was February. I had a goal set up that if we hit a certain number of subs, I was going to do an ongoing, not even like a one-off, but an ongoing cooking show with Kat here. And guess what? No one subscribed to see that show. So even though there is a group of people who like that stuff, I don't think it's the people who are on my streams. So I don't think that it's that big of a deal. And quite frankly, Kat and I don't really have time to do it anyway. Like, she cooks. Like, she'll be cooking today. She's going to cook us. I believe she's making tuna casserole today, which she made a few months ago, and we both loved, and I told her, yeah, I'd love to have it again. I'm going to be working. You know, she cooks while I work. So how am I going to be down there to film her cooking when I'm working? I can't, you know? And she's not going to be able to set up and record herself doing these elaborate recipes. So I don't see how a cooking show would work, quite frankly. And I'm open to suggestions. Some people have suggested various things. Some people have said, why doesn't Phil do an episode of Cooking with the King, live broadcast from his kitchen? There's a few reasons. Number one, Kat cooks when I'm working. So if that were to happen, what it would mean is one day I have to end a stream like an hour or 2 hours early to go down there and basically get ready to film with my phone live stream, right? Her cooking an item. I don't think it's going to be riveting content, quite frankly. It's not like we're going to be able to massively entertain you while cooking a meal. You know what I mean? Plus, it's boring. It's one thing to film for YouTube and edit the video to make it quick moving with dead time. Live streaming it, I don't think is going to be very interesting, which seems to be what people want me to do. Live stream from the kitchen, do an IRL stream. I don't think it's going to be very riveting or interesting. Okay? So I don't know there. And then number two, the fact that having to broadcast from my kitchen means that I have to now clean stuff up to make sure there's no personal information or anything around that someone could use against me. I hate to say that. I know how stupid that sounds, but that's one of the main reasons. Remember when I did the IRL stream last week? That's one of the main reasons I didn't walk around my house, because people literally will take any piece of little information they can get about me and my personal life and try to use it against me or spin it into something that's completely untrue and negative. So can you imagine, oh my God, if there was an address lying on the countertop, right? Oh, we found an address. What is it? Let's look it up on the internet. Oh my God, it's a doctor's office. Let's harass the doctor or call and make appointments on Phil's behalf. See what I mean? Like, it's as crazy as that fucking sounds, that shit happens. You see? So, so it's like, it would be such a chore to have to set up an event where I have to be like so fucking careful, right? to do anything is just so ludicrous. I didn't have to be like that. Now I do. So, that being said, it would be very tough to even do something like that, okay? So, I am looking for many, many other suggestions for a tier 2 subs goal for this month. The subs goal is 550.
And it's like you didn't have cooking with the king as a sub goal. You had cooking with cat as a sub goal. And people don't want that. People don't want cat. They might want cat on streams and things. They might want him to do like co-op gameplay with her. But they don't want her on Cooking with the King. They want Phil on Cooking with the King. And Phil doesn't offer that up as an option. When Swaggin says make it your goal, and when he makes it the sub goal through February, he's made it very clear it is not Cooking with the King. But he gets to conflate the two. He gets to conflate the two. So later on he can go, people didn't want it. I don't know why you're asking for it, people didn't want it. It's like, but that's not what you offered them. You didn't offer them Cooking with the King. You offered them Cooking with Cat, and people don't want Cooking with Cat. They want you. They want Cooking with the King because that's where you do poorly as a cook. You know, that's the joke. We get the joke. We want more of it. And he goes, nah, because I offered just Cooking with Cat, and you didn't want it. It'd be like if you came around to my house and I offered you a drink, and you said, you got Coke? I've got Pepsi. No. Don't like Pepsi. Fine. And then later on, you're like, oh, do you remember that time when you were around at my house and you didn't have any Coke? I'd be like, well, yeah, I offered you Coke, but you didn't want it. It's like, but you didn't. I offered you Pepsi. You know, he's offered them something different, and they don't want that. They want a specific thing with him. They don't want Cat in the cooking show. They want Phil cooking, and he doesn't offer them that. But he gets to conflate the two. So he goes, I will be cooking with Cat. It won't be Cooking with the King. I'll be cooking with Cat. But we don't want that, right? We'll know Cooking with the King. Remember that. It's how he controls the narrative. It's how he presents his past. Again, I don't like saying career, but it's how he presents this incident. It's how he presents this thing, the saga of Cooking with the King. It's how he presents it. He says, we offered it as a sub goal and people didn't sub, so they obviously don't want it. When the truth is, he didn't offer it as a sub goal. He said, I will cook with Cat as a sub goal, and nobody wants that.
Okay. So, there was an idea that we had here on the streams that if we hit a subscriber goal over on Twitch for that month, I would do a demo show with Cat where we would try to bring back Cooking with the King. But it wouldn't be a joke show like the original show was. It would basically be a reimagining of the show where now the two of us together would actually try to legitimately cook recipes.
And people don't want that. That's why they didn't subscribe. People want Cooking with the King. They want Phil cooking badly. But he didn't offer them that. He didn't offer them that. He offered them something else, and they didn't want it. But now he gets to say, because you didn't want that, you're not getting this. Because the two are equivalent in his head. The two have been... He's replaced the one with the other. From now on, he wouldn't ever do Cooking with the King on his own. It would have to involve Cat because she lives there. You know, she's his wife. She's his family. So, to him, the two are equivalent. So if you don't want one, you obviously don't want the other. And he can't see that there's a difference. Well, he probably can see that there's a difference. He's just fucking ignoring it. But to his audience, there's a very big difference. They don't want Cooking with Cat. They don't want him to properly try. They don't want to see a legitimate attempt at cooking. They want to see him jokingly, sarcastically cooking badly. Because that was the attraction of the original show. So... it's fucking infuriating because it's how he's controlling the narrative now. He's saying that they didn't want it when they did. They just didn't want what you offered them. They wanted something else. You still have the power to do it. He still has the ability to do it. Let's not beat about the bush here. It's not like he can't go into his kitchen with a camera. He's going to complain about that. Let's get to that, actually.
And I'm sure some of them would turn out good, and some of them would be terrible. But Kat knows how to cook. I don't.
Well, because she's a woman.
So essentially, I would be filming, she would be cooking, I'd be helping her, and together we'd do these recipes. We'd test the food together to see if it was any good, and it would be a new series, okay? Guess what happened?
It would be a new series. People don't want that as a series. They don't want that. They wanted you. They wanted Cooking with the King.
We didn't hit the sub goal. People literally said, this is nothing for us to subscribe about. We don't care about this.
Yeah, they cared about cooking with the king. They didn't care about cooking with Kat properly, trying to actually make a dish. They cared about watching Phil fuck up in the kitchen.
This is not interesting to us in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's not.
So people didn't sub that month. It wasn't an interesting goal. I said, okay, message received. You guys don't want this content. I get it. I'll just stick to my streaming stuff, you know, if that's what you care about.
No, they want the other content. They don't want that content. They want the other stuff. It's options A, B, and C. You don't want A, so I'll stick to C. But we want B. It's infuriating. Because again, it's him controlling his narrative. It's him painting things however way he wants because it makes him look best. It avoids the responsibility of ultimately going, nah, I don't want to do this thing. Because it is ultimately his responsibility, isn't it? It's his show. So if he decides to do it, great. And if he doesn't, then yeah, it's his decision. But I just feel like it's another example of him not underestimating, but just generally thinking really low of his audience. It's like he obviously it's like, here, I know what you want, you know, and you don't want this, so I'm not going to give you this. People want something else. They want something else that is within your power to give them, and they would pay you for it. They would pay you money. They would watch that video, you know. So the idea that you don't, pissing away money. When you've had to declare bankruptcy before you're fucking 40 because you had like 13 credit cards in your name. And here's a potential revenue stream, you know? Fucking Mr. Business degree.
Okay. So, I never did it. I never went back to it. Now, over the years, people ask for it again. You want to know why they ask for it? I'll tell you exactly why. Because later that year in 2018, my wife decided to show up in a few videos of mine. There were one or two like Q&A videos we did together where we both answered questions to a live audience. Later on that year, there was a Halloween marathon where she dressed up in a costume along with me. We were dressed up in costume and playing horror games, okay? During those few streams, and then culminating in that Halloween marathon, people were so nasty to my wife. Just her glancing at the comments that were going through the stream at the time, she got incredibly upset. It really hurt.
I'm not going to paste the entire stream. I recommend Tevin's stream of it rather than viewing his. But, nah. Big fucking X to doubt. DX. Nah, wasn't like that at all. You get a couple of trolls, yeah, sure, but you know you can get that in any DSP stream at the time. But it wasn't like that. They were fair. They were actually, most of them actually quite like, yeah, fucking hell, Cat's on the stream, great, because most of them were his audience who wanted to see Cat on his streams. You know, they wanted to see them doing games together. To be honest, I think Kat pissed off because she was bored, because she was just sat there while you were playing games, you know? I don't want to get into body language right now, but throughout the 3 streams, her body language was very indicative of somebody who didn't want to be there, and it wasn't because people were saying trollish things to her in the chat. It was very much the body language of somebody who was resigned to having to do something. But whatever helps Phil paint his narrative, right?
Her deeply. To see people say disgusting things about her and insulting things about her. In her mind, she's like, I'm going out of my way, my normal life, to be a part of this content, to be a part of this community that Phil has grown on the internet for so many years. And I'm going out of my way. She had spent money. That was not a cheap costume she was wearing. That was
a cheap costume she was wearing. It was a dress with a hat with goggles on it. It was some shitty steampunk thing. That was probably about the same cost as Phil's shitty, cheap Bob Ross outfit. No. No.
Actual, like, expensive costume that she got to be a part of the Halloween event. And she's trying to just enjoy the game, and she keeps looking at the stream, and it's insult, insult, insult. And by the way, they're all sexist, of course. All sexist, disgusting things people are saying about her.
Because of course. You know. Alright, what does that say about your fucking audience then? What does that say about the community that you've grown over the years? That they're all gross sexist insults? I feel like I do kind of want to compare and contrast times when he's spoken about it following the event with how it was, but there's so much cutting involved in that. There's so much splicing and arranging, and I don't feel like I'd be able to bring psychology to it. So somebody else, a better editor, would be able to do it. I feel like Secret probably would have done a great job of it. David Davidson would do a really good job of it. Ludwig would. But yeah, there's loads of people who could probably do that better than what I could. But for me, it's more how he tells it following the event. In the years since, compared to how he told it at the time, because like following the break when he came back and it was just him and he was like, "Oh, here's why Kat's gone," immediately blames Tevin.
There's a sick motherfucker on the internet called Tevin who likes to illegally restream my fucking streams and has an army of fucking trolls who are the only reason why he has any notoriety is because he copies my shit, and he eggs his trolls on to do negative shit like this, to come to my stream and to basically make fun of my girlfriend and do nasty shit. It's his fault that this kind of stuff happens, and anyone who supports that kind of fucking content is a mentally ill asshole who has no fucking conscience or morals. Don't expect Kat to be on stuff frequently. You know, this was a rare occurrence where we had her on for something special, and look what happened because of fucking Tevin and his shithead fan base, and it's directly their fault 100% and nobody else's. So anyway, that's what happened, because a lot of people were wondering what the hell happened. When she was on the stream, she didn't look, she was having fun, and then she left after 2 games. I thought she was going to be here all day. That was the plan, and the whole thing got shut down because of that shithead over there, okay?
It's Tevin's fault. Immediately.
It's Tevin's fault.
And he's going to do it again here. He's not going to say Tevin.
Okay. The moderators did their best, but so many assholes flooded in. You want to know why? Because the idiots who illegally restreamed me were restreaming me. They were saying these nasty things on their streams, and then those viewers were carrying over to my real stream and regurgitating that toxic filth on my stream. It really hurt my wife.
Sorry. It's every time he says, like, my wife cried. It really upset my wife. You can't say Kat, it's my wife. It's his object, it's his possession, you know. This is why words interest me. His choice of words is very revealing. His wife is a status symbol now. She's not a person, not an individual, she's a position. It's something that he has now to justify being an adult. He is a mature man with responsibilities, and he has a job, and he has bills to pay, and he has a wife because he's a man, and that's what men do. You know, and that, you know, that's fine for most people. Fine, whatever, don't care. But it's the reduction of Kat to a position, an object, a role, rather than an individual, a person with her own wants and dreams and desires, you know. It's that, and it's the using of you know, to elicit sympathy or to paint distractors in a negative light. He doesn't care about her as a person, because when you watch the stream, again, I'm not going to cut them all in, but when you watch the stream, her body language is not someone who's being upset, you know. And again, in the immediate aftermath of it, when he's come back to explain, he doesn't give examples of insults, and generally you would, you know, if you were there on a stream with your husband and the people who were in his audience were saying things to you and they said a couple of things that hurt you, you would remember those things. You would remember somebody said this, somebody else said this, and somebody else said this. You'd be able to provide, somebody said, oh, that dress makes you look like this. Somebody else said, oh, my hair looks like this. But he doesn't ever give examples. He doesn't ever give evidence. He just says and, implies and moves on. He never gives examples to support his position. He never gives evidence. One of the commenters in one of my videos is a reviewer. They said if DSP was, a video game reviewer, he'd be sacked, he'd be fired because he doesn't ever provide evidence for his arguments. And that's the thing that sticks with me as well as somebody who's had to do a psychology degree. When you're making claims, you have to give your fucking references. You have to give your citations. If you're making a claim about something, you have to put a name in brackets and a date after it. So the fact that he never does is really revealing, because the more generic you are, the harder it is to fact check, because the wider the net, the greater the odds that you will actually catch something that matches your description. So if somebody says something sexist, all the trolls are saying sexist stuff, when you cast the net over his chat throughout that stream, you will find somebody saying something sexist. Doesn't mean the entire stream was sexist. Doesn't mean that every comment directed at Cat was sexist. But because he's, the evidence is there that somebody said something sexist, therefore this was the tone of the abuse that she got, and it's being as generic as possible makes it harder to fact check, because you can cast a wide net and eventually find an example. All it takes is one person saying something sexist for him to go, the entire stream was like that.
She basically told me remember we went on break, and she told me, basically in tears, she never wanted to be on my stream ever again. She's like, I can't believe it. Like, I went out of my way to do nice things to help you in your content, and these people...
What nice things did she do? She sat there looking bored. She didn't engage with the chat. She didn't engage with the game. She barely engaged with you. She looked like she was sitting there waiting for a taxi. That period of like 10 or 20 minutes when you've called the taxi and you're ready to go, but they're not here yet. So you just are like sitting around waiting for it to arrive. She looked like that. She had the posture and the body language of somebody who just had to be there. I'll get this half hour out. I'll get this hour out of the way, and then I can go do something else. All right, fine. I said I'd come to this meeting. I said I'd come to this party. I said I'd do this before I go out later. Fine, I'll stop by and drop this thing off, and I'll have a brew, and then I've got to go elsewhere. It's the body language of somebody who's killing time until they can get on to doing something that they actually want to do. She did not bring anything to the stream at all, really, in terms of providing more commentary or interacting more with the chat, or just basically having a back and forth dynamic with Phil. For a married couple, they have terrible on-screen chemistry. See how much longer I can go without getting into body language.
People are so ungrateful. They're disgusting. Look what they're doing. And I told her, I said, it's always your choice if you want to subject yourself to that shit or not. I know how toxic the internet is.
I just think from the start she didn't want to. I just think from the start she didn't want to at all. Not that she didn't necessarily want to be online or to stream, because she used to stream, but that she didn't want to do it with Phil. And so he would try to be like, come on, let's do at least one stream. We'll do like a Q&A stream, That's fine. Fine, get it out of the way. Oh, great, like people liked you on that stream. We should do another at some point soon. We earned a lot of money, so she reluctantly agrees to it. And then the Halloween stream comes up, and she's just so fucking fed up by this point. She just wants to go. She's got another party later. She just wants to go to that. And by that point, afterwards, she's like, I saw someone say something, so I'm fucking done. That's my excuse. I'm grabbing that with both hands, and I'm holding onto it like it's a life raft, and I'm drowning in the ocean. She's never wanted to be part of it with him. That's the impression I get from her.
And if you don't want to be doing that, you don't have to. She's got her own life, stresses going on behind the scenes. She doesn't need to have extra stresses from a bunch of immature shitheads on the internet. All right? So these people hurt her so much with the way that they acted. She, since that day in 2018, has not been on a stream of mine ever again. Yeah, it's been, what, 8, 9, 10, through 2.5 years? And she has absolutely no...
This is like when he had to add, like, what was it, 31 to 21. It's 39 to 21 and he got 97. He had to count back to 2018. You couldn't go like 3 years. He had to like count back. Business degree, and that's how he is with maths.
No desire to ever come back. Now, the funny part about all this is, those same people who were toxic, including the restreamers. Oh, I don't know why Cat will never come on a stream again. I don't know why Cat would never be a part of Phil's content again. It must be because Phil's lying and they broke up and she doesn't really live with him. And this, you know, every little insane conspiracy theory to basically try to spin it to be something that it's not, that they were toxic, disgusting people. They concretely hurt my wife with their actions and they're responsible for the fact that she'll never be on my streams ever again.
Oh, I paused at an amazing moment, sorry.
It's not them. It's got to be something I did.
The fucking state of it there. Nobody said that. Nobody. Nobody was like that at all. Again, he could be generic as he wants. All you need is one detractor to go, oh, I reckon they're not living together anymore. And boom, evidence for all of it. I don't buy it because it's just not representative of how I remember it and how I'm sure most of you remember it. Like I said, to be honest, I don't think she wanted to be there at all. I don't think it was anything he did, because he didn't really do anything. Do you remember? I think there's another clip somewhere, I can't remember if I'll be able to find it, but basically, Panda's talking about something and he's very clearly not listening to her or not engaging with her. I think he's on his phone, and then when she stops, he sort of, I think he interrupts her to sort of like say, yeah, here's something about the new Xbox console controller, you know, or something like that.
It was worth it because now we can go to the arcade and I can say, fuck you, claw machine. Fuck those claw machines, man. They're a bitch and a half. All we can get is those damn keychains. It's horse shit because they have like 500 varieties and I want all of them. But god damn it, every time we try, we like nudge an ear. And then one time we got one more stuck than it was before. And I don't know how these damn people always get these. I got new colors and I got some more soap boxes for the old style soaps. And yeah, oh, and I got a little sample. I got a little fragrance sample with my order called Electric Lemonade Cocktail. It smells like a lemon lime candy, like a Jolly Rancher. It's awesome.
Someone did confirm the SCUF controller is a customizable controller, just like the Xbox One Elite, where you could swap parts out and stuff. So I was right in that assumption.
And it was the same with Kat. He did not really engage with her, and they didn't have, you know, any sort of dynamic back and forth. He didn't really have any chemistry, and it felt like he was really like. He was in stream mode. He was in like farting about as Bob Ross because I want people to give me money mode. He wasn't in I'll work with my wife mode. You know, he wasn't with I've got a guest on my stream, let's make it really fun and I'll talk to her a lot mode. He was in like, got to play this horror game while I'm wearing a fake beard mode. But the way he paints the outgroup, the way he paints detractors as an outgroup, there, really revealing, because it's so overwhelmingly negative. This isn't for us, by the way. This is for his audience. This is to reinforce the image that they have of people who aren't fans of Phil. You know, this is how he does it. This is how he keeps them in line, I guess. This is the scare tactic part of it. There's other ways he keeps them in line as well, but this is one of the scare tactics. You know, it's like, don't leave my group because the other group is like this. You know, can't be a third option where you just bugger off. No, it's either this group or mental people. So, again, it's manipulative, it's abusive, Darbo side Phil.
That's it. They literally project their terrible behavior onto me.
Shit.
What's happened?
What's going on?
Listen. Can anyone hear anything?
No?
Precisely. No one can hear anything. And you know why we can't hear anything?
Why?
Because there are no sounds to hear.
Alright, giving it a few hours to charge. Got another one charging right now, should be okay. But yeah, let's get this over and done with before I start coming down.
With the way that they acted. She, since that day in 2018, has not been on a stream of mine ever again. Yeah, it's been, what, 8, 9, 10, through 2.5 years? And she has absolutely no desire to ever come back. Now, the funny part about all this is, those same people who were toxic, including the restreamers. Oh, I don't know why Kat will never come on a stream again. I don't know why Kat would never be a part of Phil's content again. It must be because Phil's lying and they broke up and she doesn't really live with him. And this, you know, every little insane conspiracy theory to basically try to spin it to be something that it's not, that they were toxic, disgusting people. They
just want to point out that the choice of words when he said conspiracy theories, it's an insane conspiracy theory. Any alternative view, any possible contrary opinion or possibility to Phil is this, because he needs to paint it like that. He needs to paint it as ridiculous so that you are primed to reject it. You know, if a proposition is obviously ridiculous, if it's just some stupid fucking conspiracy, then you're going to reject it, aren't you? And that's what he primes his audience to do. He primes them to just look at the detractor argument, as it were, and go, nah, you're full of shit, talk your bollocks, because he has to, you know. Otherwise, he can't control his audience. It's just, again, it's word choice for me. It's always a thing. So, yeah, I'm not fantastic at body language, but word choice is something that I'm always on the lookout for, because I think it's very revealing.
They concretely hurt my wife with their actions, and they're responsible for the fact that she'll never be on my streams ever again.
See, that concretely hurt my wife. In that respect, it would be provable, you know? In that respect, it would be... There'd be some way to measure it. There'd be some way to prove it. There'd be some way to say, look, here's how you have had an effect on her. But you never see her again. You never see any sort of hint of an effect. He's the one who describes the effect that we've had on her. It's his recounting of events that we're supposed to trust, because she's not there to say, nah, actually, we're just bored. You know? She's gone. And from now on, all we ever know about her is what he tells us. So, yeah, when we have concretely hurt her, you know, how? It upset her. That's not concretely hurting, because you get over being upset, you know? Emotionally, again, is she suffering trauma? In which case, has she not had therapy for it over the last 2 years? How do you prove concretely? But his choice of words there by saying concretely is very revealing, because he's just said, there's been a provable impact on my wife there. There's been a significant, serious impact on my wife. And we have to believe, we have to take him at his word, because she's not there to say, here's what happened, here's how I'm upset, here's how I was affected.
It's not them. It's got to be something I did. That's it. They literally project their terrible behavior onto me. The evidence is there. People.
If, like Phil, you were to use the argument that your claim is ridiculous because there is evidence contrary to it out there. You know, I stream every day, so when you say I say this thing, you know, the evidence is there that I've not. you wouldn't necessarily need to say stuff like that projecting, and it's ridiculous. You know, you'd be able to defend your position. You'd be able to have proof, but he never provides any. That's a giant red flag when it comes to gauging whether someone's telling you the truth or not.
The evidence is there. People have those streams. They're documented, the things that people said and did on that stream. It was absolutely fucking disgusting. It was...
Okay, right, let's consider this now. How do you... In light of the risk of discovering contrary evidence, how do you make such a claim? Because him saying that the evidence is there, the streams are there, it's all recorded, therefore you can go and look and find it. From his perspective, if you've cast the generic net wide enough, if you said the abuse was toxic, the abuse was sexist, someone said sexist comments, all you need is one out of the thousands of comments that he would have gotten over that period that she was there. An hour or two. I think it was the first hour she was there. Might have been the second one actually. But yeah, over all those thousands of messages, all you need is one. And then that's his proof. So he can make the claim that the evidence is there. But he's not considering that the counterclaim is there's a tiny percentage that the sexist comment. You know? If you find a couple of them compared to all the other ones that are like, hey, cat's here, hey, cat, I love the, because there's going to be some fawning ones out there. There's going to be some that are like totally sucking up to him. So there's going to be a few that are like, wow, cat, your costume looks amazing. There's going to be loads of them, and they will probably outweigh the sexist comments. But to Phil's defense, in Phil's defense is there are also sexist comments there. So there is sexist abuse, this foul, disgusting, toxic shit, And you probably find some evidence of that because there's that element of your fan base that you're not addressing. They're not all from detractor streams. I don't know, how many of you have got a detractor stream on and you think, right, fuck it, I'm dipping into DSP stream. Because I don't... get a couple of people undercover, as it were. But I don't know if I see people bouncing from stream to stream. I've never seen anyone in like Tevin's stream or Unleashed stream or anything like that nip into one of DSP's stream and repeat what we've said, what's been discussed. I don't think I've ever seen it. Granted, I don't attend every stream, so it's possible, but it's not common. But to Phil, it's a defense.
Some of the worst examples of human behavior you'll ever see. The things they said and did to my wife on that stream. Okay? It happened. You can't justify that and say that that's because Phil... What are you talking about? I have a very great relationship with my wife. We've lived together now for 3 years. We absolutely love the life we have together. We're very positive and happy of the future and the home life that we have. And we're happy that we don't intertwine that with the streams anymore.
Oh God, just repeat the lie. Again, conformity, break people down. The more you repeat the lie, and this is the impression that he wants to give about his home life. He's got a great home life with his wife. And since we're on the subject, I do have to say, when he calls himself, when he says my family, maybe in America there's a different definition for family, but when I was doing my access class, one of the sociology units was changing structure of the family, and in the UK the ONS definition is a couple, married, civil partnered, or just cohabiting. They don't have to have a child necessarily. So in the UK at least, him and Kat are a family. But he's not a UK citizen, so fuck him.
Because, like I said, we have our own shit going on. My wife does not need to have people be like that to her. She doesn't deserve it. She has nothing to do whatsoever with the toxic shit these idiots do on the internet. Why should she wrap herself up in that? Okay? So, speaking about all of this...
by appearing on a stream with you, I guess. That's how you end up wrapped up in it. You appear on a stream with you. Because, I mean, she had a stream of her own. She used to stream on her own before she moved in with you. And I'm pretty sure that if she did stream, you would probably have a bit of an influx at the start, but that would level off when people sort of got the impression that, nah, she's keeping it separate from films. You know, I think generally Kat's streams would probably be more chill, I guess. You know, I suppose it would depend on how she would handle. How many's he got here? 150 members. So let's say there's, what, 300 or 400 people watching him probably at this moment. Depends how she can handle that sort of crowd. But I reckon hers would be better than Phil's. I think he should phase out streaming and she should replace him.
Reason I'm talking about this, over the years now, since that happened, and since Kat has now said, I never want to be a part of Phil's content ever again because it's just going to be the same. It's not going to change. You know, the moment she steps foot into this office and I'm broadcasting, there'll be disgusting things said. We know that. We're not stupid.
Instantly, it's disgusting. Instantly, any sort of reaction that she would get when she steps onto a stream is disgusting. That was just my fingers. I didn't know that bad. Oh, shit. Well, fuck's sake. It's all going wrong today. It's a sign. Stop doing DSP streams. So yeah, anyway, instantly, it's disgusting. Most of the time, remember when Panda did? Whenever Panda would occasionally jump in, she would normally be greeted with, hey, it's Panda, hey, it's Panda, let me see you, Panda, how are you doing? You know, and all that. It would probably be the same here. People would probably be like, holy shit, Cat's on stream. They would be like, yeah, suck me fucking dick, Cat. You know, they would be like, well, she's on stream for shit. And then at that point, she would be able to sort of reintegrate because people are like not expecting it, so they're taken by surprise. So then you immediately go, hey guys, how you doing? But she doesn't, she just, when she's with him, she doesn't interact at all. She struggles to interact with the stream. She just looks at it with like contempt, you know. I'll save it for later. Oh, I'm baiting you people. The master of suspense, me. I have noticed this, by the way. Yeah, I might put that one up. Nice. Yeah. See, sometimes it look okay. Sometimes it looks okay. I can't even speak today. Fucking hell, this shit's really good. Sometimes it looks okay, and then you catch me at an awkward angle, and it looks like I like nicked into it. But like, this is just the edge where it meets my chin. And on the other side, you don't get that. Fuck. I get paranoid about trimming that bit. Look, I'm looking at him now, and the same bit where I've grown all this, it's just skin coloured. It's his chin. He's grown a bit above it, and then it's underneath. But it's a bald patch, and I don't know why he's so... Of course I know why he's so sensitive about it. It's a fucking bald patch. I'd be sensitive about it as well. Let's be honest, most of us would. But... Criticise your choice of electric razor, Phil. I'm allowed to criticise how you do your facial hair. I'm your fucking brother!
So she says, I just don't want... Unless it changes, which it probably never will, I never want to be a part of that content ever again. Ever since that happened... Oh, I wish Phil would do Cooking with the King with his wife, man. I just wish they would do Cooking with the King together.
No, we went over... No, they don't want Cooking with the King with your wife. They want Cooking with the King with you. They're not asked about your wife there. Your wife on stream, great. Your wife in co-op games, great. Your wife in cooking, no. They want poorly Cooking with the King. Jesus.
To ask for variety content, Phil and his wife cooking together, yes, it is too much to ask. Because those shitheads are not going away, and they're not going to not be toxic to her.
So, because of the actions of people who don't like you, you are going to punish your audience. You are going to limit the product that you put out. You are going to harm like chances of growth for your business by not providing different content that people might like. This is cutting your nose off to spite your face. And I know about that. It's such a strange opinion. Again, I'm coming back to the whole entitlement thing. This is him feeling entitled to be a prick to his audience because he expects that he will have an audience. He's got a legacy. He deserves that audience. He's owed it. So they're his audience. He can do what he wants with it. He can treat them how he wants. He picks what he wants what content he wants to make. And because there are people who don't like, which you're gonna get in any sort of public role, you know, whether you're a politician or a influencer or a streamer or a movie star or you're in a band, there's going to be people who don't like you as well as your fans, you know. But because of the actions of the people that don't like you, because they trolled you and you responded to it, you took the bait, you're going to punish your audience and harm your business. You're going to harm your livelihood by limiting yourself and not putting in any sort of effort, because it's that basically, isn't it? It's too much effort. It has always been too much effort to do something. Bill will go the path of least resistance every time, and providing stuff like Cooking with the King is too much effort. This has only gone so long, Ask the King, because he's just sitting and in his chair and answering questions. Not even playing a game at this point. People are paying him to just ask questions and for him to talk. So that's as minimum effort as you can get. Look at me right now. That's why he's fighting himself. That's why he's actively harming himself and punishing his audience, because he just doesn't want to do it. And having detractors be pricks is a great excuse for that. It's like, nope, they trolled me wife, so you're not getting Cooking with the King. Cut my nose off to spite my face.
It's that simple. She's never going to do it because she wanted to do it at first until those people acted like that. And now she will...
Sorry, I'm dragging this out, I know. But did she want to do it? Because, again, we only have his say for most of 2018 until she starts appearing on streams. But for the start, when he initially dangles it as a sub goal, there's only him saying, "We're talking about this." So, again, that doesn't necessarily mean she's okay with it. It might be him going, "I've got an idea about this. You know, think about it." So.
We'll never do it again. So, if you want to look for a reason why there will never be Cooking with the King, the answer is because of what happened with my wife on those few streams. That's the answer. There will never be Cooking with the King ever again. Blame the restreamers who promote that toxic behavior, and blame the people who left those restreamer streams and came over to mine and did that to my wife. That's the reason you will never see me doing a cooking show with my wife ever. Period.
Just say you don't want to do it. Rather than spin that whole bullshit tale about people coming over from Tevin's stream to troll your wife. I mean, did they? How do you prove that? Just say you don't want to do it. It's not a weakness to say I'm done with this. It's not a weakness to say, nah, this series is finished and I'm moving on to something else. It's not a weakness to go, you know, nah, guys, as the content creator, I don't want to do this. I would rather do other things. So just do it, Phil. Just come out and say it. Like you
That's
did
the
before.
answer. There you go. Okay. Cats Like Carl took me $1.30. says big ups on review copy opinions. People who would buy a game day one shouldn't be affected by IGN's early copy review. With patches and DLC, a game can be dramatically changed months later. Completely correct. What really gets me are these games that have major online components, yet people read an early review like it knows anything, right? There's no way that a game reviewer who played the game 1 or 2 weeks early got the actual online experience of what that game's going to be like for you when you buy it on launch day. So the whole review is invalid.
I mean, that's sort of true, but not the whole review would be invalid, because, I mean, I really like Destiny, you know. I had a lot of fun with Destiny, not the stream of the games. And I didn't really play much of the multiplayer aspect of it, though. For me, it was just fun to potter about it. I played a lot of the story. I did a couple of, like, the public events whenever they'd show up, if I was nearby. But yeah, I just like pottering about because the gunplay felt great. And you could tweak the gameplay, yeah, but for a good portion of, from the game's release onwards, those reviews will still be valid because, you know, not much will have changed in that regard other than Peter Dinklage, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if the whole review is invalid. Especially because, you know, a review is a snapshot of it in a moment of time. And further articles months down the line would reflect changes to it. And so the review wouldn't necessarily be invalid, it would just be out of date. You know? Because, yeah, games can change, but normally massive game-changing patches and updates are reported. You know, and if they're big enough, they'll be reviewed. So again, I can't get into this. I did like far too long on this before.
Albert Aponte tipped me $1.30 and says, "Do you see any hope for Bioware Studios after remaking the Mass Effect franchise?"
Oh god, right,
Maybe.
I'll skip on.
I think we're about. I can't see. Hold on. I can't see how long this part has been. I have to go look. I think we're at 50 minutes.
Fucking professional streamer. He does this for a living,
Okay.
and he can't even see what time
We
it
got
is.
time for one
Fucking
more
watch,
question
Phil.
before we take the final break, and then we do the final segment of the show after a break. Okay. So let's do some questions here. Oh, Sir Ignatius actually tipped me $1.30. He says, "I'm sorry to hear about what happened to that stream with your wife. I watched you around 2010, and then I haven't checked back until now. Wow. So I'm not caught up at all." Yeah. I mean, the things these people say and do about my family members is just beyond fucked. Like, Kat literally has never done a bad thing to anyone on the internet. Not once.
I'm pretty sure there's a guy who owns a Subaru who would disagree. Yeah. That's fair enough. You could say like Kat as a streamer, you know, in the online presence that she had before she met you and scrubbed everything, was quite a nice person. She was quite calm and quite approachable, quite personable. Maybe I don't know. I don't watch many of the streams. Not asked. I should do though. Be quite an interesting character examination. So I'll look at her then and then see how she changed in the streams with DSP. But you know that. I don't think anyone really trolled her to that regard, to that extent, you know? People were more just like, hey, it's Kat. It's your missus. And then, when it became painfully obvious that you were boring because you just weren't really interacting, because you were playing the game, and she was bored because it was a one-player game, and the chat wasn't entertaining for her, the chat gets bored. And starts pissing about. You know, like you said, your moderators can only do so much. So you can't accept that though, because it's on him. It's on him because it means he's not providing an entertaining enough stream. He's not being funny or engaging or entertaining in any way. So the chat gets bored and starts to entertain itself, and that's when you end up with people trolling. But he can't. He's not going to extrapolate his thinking that far because he's already got an excuse. It's people restreaming him. And I just, if it were people who were restreaming, people were watching these streams and then coming over, how much of your audience is that? Because they're not all going to immediately do it, are they? Some of them are going to join and then wait for a minute, aren't they? So how much of your audience is that, and how much of your audience is actual fans? I don't know why I'm talking like this is still relevant. This is 2 years ago. It's probably like half of them by now. Yeah.
There's no reason why anyone should treat her badly, yet they did because they thought that it would get to me. And then those same people get upset that...
Again, what do you mean those same people? Most of the people that are like, hey, where's Cat? Why isn't she on your streams? Are your fans. Detractors don't give a shit about whether Cat's on your stream or not. We like to speculate about what she's up to and everything, and how many times she's spent down the gym. But no one cares that she's not on your streams anymore. What's more worrying for us is the fact that her entire online personality, her online existence is fucking gone. You know, you don't hear from her anymore. Even Panda Lee held an online presence. You know, she had her own Instagram. It's an abuser's sign. To get somebody and move them into your isolated community and cut them off from their social support network, their friends and family. And then you start scrubbing their online presence. You start removing every trace of their existence elsewhere, because that's independence. If you have an online account somewhere and you're tweeting stuff, that's you tweeting. And as an abuser, you can't let your partner do that, because you want to control them. And that's an area where they don't control, so you start to pressure them to scrub the Twitter account, delete your Twitter account, lock it down so you don't interact with as many people. You don't want, and in Phil's case, it's really easy. You just go, don't stream. You'll just get all these trolls. Don't stream. And then, you know, she's there in your gated community alone, the other side of the country, away from all family and friends, no online presence, no one to talk to. She's just there with you, and she goes to work. And I think the only reason, again with Panda Lee, who got to work as well, I think the only reason that he lets them go to work is because it's a revenue stream. The risk of them retaining some sort of independence and being able to resist his control is it's lesser than the reward of another monthly wage coming in, you know. So it's a really abusive thing. Somebody in one of my comments asked me why he doesn't ever meet anyone local, and this is because somebody local to the area would have an established support network. They would have their family and friends. They would have a social group with them already because they live in that area. So he wouldn't be able to fully isolate them from it, and he would have a lot of resistance from family and friends. So like when, you know, she next sees her mates and they're like, oh, so what's going on? Why have you you know, what's going on with your Twitter account, and why is it private now? And she goes, oh, well, Phil told me that, you know, if I don't do this, then, you know, the trolls will get me. And her friends and her family are more likely to call him out on that bullshit, and they'd be more likely to attempt to help her. And so it would be easier for them to easier for somebody to escape him, because there's more potential people to bring her out of it. But when they've been flown from the other side of the country and they're living in a gated community, and they're only ever really allowed out to go shopping or to go to do their part-time job at Kroger's, then they're much easier to control. You don't like to speculate on other people's relationships, but that's how it seems, you know, to me. Like looking at the evidence that's out there, looking at like the fact that she stopped streaming and has no online presence, and the fact that he moved her across the country, and the fact that he lives in a gated, all that stuff, just putting the pieces of the puzzle together. That's how it looks to me. And it was the same with Panda. And nobody really sort of says it, but she was going through shit with Subaru Man when she met Phil. So again, with the power balance between him as the streamer and her as the fan, he basically took advantage of her at a moment when she was vulnerable. She might have been like cheating on a fella, but it's still causing shit, and it's still like a time of stress for her. So, you know, with the power imbalance, ordinarily I would think, you know, in an equal balance of power between two people, I would think, yeah, you're just culpable for your own, you know, you cheated, and you know, you're not. I wouldn't take the, I wouldn't give the potential stress from the consequences of those actions as much weight, but because he's got the power imbalance from her, because he's got more power in the relationship, it makes her more vulnerable. The stress that she's under makes her more vulnerable to him and his suggestion. So yeah, that's the thing that sort of slips under the radar. Maybe you don't agree, and that's fine. I can see why you wouldn't, because, you know, she is a grown-ass woman, and she is also responsible for the consequences of her actions in cheating with her partner. But it's an interesting thought to mull over for a bit. So yeah, I just, when it comes to relationships with Phil, not literally relationships, but I mean looking at Panda and Gat, you think there's some warning signs here, Phil. There's some warning signs, and they're not good warning signs. You know, they don't make you look good.
Cat's not in my content because of the way they behaved. It's like, it's your fault. Why would you get angry at me for not having my wife in my videos? You're the reason she's not in my videos and streams, because you're a piece.
Now, either she doesn't want to appear on the streams because she just doesn't want to be seen with Phil, you know, and that's his reasoning for it. Or he doesn't want her appearing on streams because all it takes is one comment from somebody to spark a little bit of doubt in their mind. All it takes is someone to say, "Hey Kat, how long's it been since you saw your friends? How long's it been since you spoke to your family? How long's it been since you visited your parents?" You know, it just takes one comment to spark a thing in her mind, and that's a risk that you can't run. So he plays up the trolls. She was trolled into oblivion, and she broke down in tears, and, you know, my wife cried. That's a good defense for him. But I suppose it ultimately depends on how much agency you're willing to assign to Kat at this moment in time. So yeah, whatever judgments you want to reach, you know, are yours to make. But to me, I think he's manipulating her more than she's terrified, you know. I think he wants to stop her, and this was an opportunity because she was clearly not enjoying being on stream with him. So, but, you know, if he gave her an office and a streaming setup of her own, she'd probably be quite happy to stream herself as well.
Piece of shit. So, what did you expect would happen if you were bad to someone? Whoa, shit. What the fuck? That is not what I wanted to happen. Did you see that? What did you think would happen? People like bad treatment? Oh man, I love it when people rub shit up my nose. Let me go to the store where they keep shoving turds up my nose. I love it. Let's just keep doing it. No, of course not stupid. But that's the problem. These people are fucking stupid.
Says the man who's just used shoving shit up your nose as an allegory for being trolled. Fucking projection, man.
Let's see here. Cyclone Carl to me $2 says, well, I don't want you to bring the show back with your wife. I want it to be the old style. I just explained to you why I can't do that. I have
no. Again, you don't know any recipes. That's fine. No one was coming to you for actual recipes. No one was coming to you because they wanted to know how to make a cheese toasty. You know. No one was looking at poorly cooking for the king because they wanted to know how to make a cup noodle. Bring up a couple of simple recipes. Curry is not difficult to make. Spaghetti bolognese is not difficult to make. You know? Fucking bangers and mash is not difficult to make. Fucking flapjacks and brownies are not difficult to make. Just, you know, it was the journey that people wanted. It was to see the character do badly and end up at a point. Fucking hell.
To cook. I'm not a good cook. I don't know any recipes. I'm not gonna...
We know! That was the point! You literally explained it to us. We all got the joke, but you still explained it. And again, it just doesn't make sense to me. That series where I was a bad cook, I'm not doing it because I can't cook. I can't. This is what cognitive dissonance feels like. I can't square that as an argument. I can't. It's illogical to me. I'm not going to do the thing you wanted me to do because I can't do it. It's one thing, but I'm not going to do that thing where I did badly at whatever it was. I'm not going to do because I do badly at that thing. It doesn't make sense. Everybody's got a game genre that they don't like, right? And if you were a streamer and you did badly playing this, you know, like for me, real-time strategy, I'm bad. I can't. I'm not an armchair general. I can't. So, if I had a series called badly playing real-time strategies, I played like Supreme Command and StarCraft, things like that, Command and Conquer. And then people were like, wow, we actually quite enjoy this because he's obviously he didn't know how to play it, but we got that from the title, and he's quite funny as he goes about fucking up, you know. And then people will like later on in years, why aren't you doing this anymore? And I said, because I'm bad at real-time strategies. That just wouldn't make sense. I'm not going to do the character because I literally embody this part of the character. It's so bizarre, an argument to me, that I need to move on because I can't process this.
Cook. First of all, I'm not going to cook by myself at this point anyway. I live in a house with my wife. I'm not going to cook by myself.
Why not?
I'm just...
Why not? Why not just tell her, I'm just going to shoot this thing? She presumably knows about poorly cooking with the king. She'll know that it was a series and a thing that he once did. So why not just sort of like go, hey, I'm going to shoot it, you know? Do it during the day. Do it like at 12 o'clock or something. Do it when she's at work. Make a fucking pot noodle while she's at work. You're in charge of your own fucking schedule. You can arrange a bit where she's not in the house. You can pick at any point to fart about in the kitchen for 20 or 30 minutes.
It's not going to happen. It's a waste of time and a waste of money. I don't... If I was going to cook, it would be with my wife. That's number one.
Why? Why? You didn't cook with Panda, did you? She wasn't there helping, was she? I don't remember. I've not watched them all. But even if she was, you don't have to now. If people don't want Kat on the video and she doesn't want to be in the videos anyway because she's going to get trolled into oblivion, then why not just not have her in the video? Why not just do it yourself? Set up a tripod and film yourself doing it. I probably could.
Number two, I don't want to cook. I'm not a cook. Literally, that's the short answer.
The point of the character, we know. Fuck.
I'm not a cook. I have no desire to learn how to cook. I don't want to try recipes. It has nothing to do with me or my content at all. You're asking... That's like saying, man, I really like LeBron James. I really wish that we could see him sculpt a statue by hand. And you just keep pelting LeBron James with requests to sculpt a statue by hand. He's like, but I'm not a sculptor. What are you talking about?
No. That analogy only works if LeBron James had, before becoming famous, had a series that helped him become famous called poorly sculpting with LeBron James, in which he made it very clear he was a bad sculptor and he did very badly at sculpting. That's the only way that comparison works. You are missing out on a crucial piece of information there, and it's because it counters your argument.
Why do you keep asking me to do this? I play basketball. I'm really good at it. Why do you want me to sculpt? No, you have to sculpt. What are you talking about?
If he'd sculpted previously, yeah. If part of the reason why he became famous was because, like, during the breaks of his sculpting streams, he played a bit of basketball, people picked up on it, and he was talent scouted. But, you know, again, it's not something that people are plucking out of nowhere. It has precedent. People want this thing because you did this thing. They don't want this thing because it was, you know, an offhand joke, a one-time thing, a silly comment that you throw out once people run with it. It was a series that you had that people want. It's not like they're coming out of nowhere.
I'm not a cook. It was a joke. It was a joke I did 10 years ago.
We know.
Okay. Now let's get back to Twitter questions. Shouty31 says, how has the move to YouTube been? Thinking face emote.
Spin on.
Spin on.
Nah, actually, that was it, wasn't it? Oh, fuck. Oh, right, okay. I realised that I didn't talk about body language. And I might look at the streams and compare them because body language is kind of telling. But you have to understand about body language. We process it as a totality. It's a composite thing. We don't look at it individually. You don't separate facial features and overall body language. Was it DeGelder, I think, did an experiment where they showed people pictures of composite. It would be like a man with a certain pose, and the face would be different emotions. I think the emotions were aggression and fear, and they would mix them. And they found that people responded when the facial emotion didn't match the body emotion. You would be more likely to default to reading the body emotion as a whole. So let's say somebody's calling to you in the street and they're like, come over here, and you know they're smiling in the face, but their posture indicates aggression. They're forward, or the way they're carrying themselves, or the fact they've got a fucking fists up. You know, they're doing that too. Fucking come on. You know, come over here, mate. Come over here. You know, we default to the body as a whole because, well, presumably the face can lie, but it's really because, you know, we read body language as a whole. We assess the whole thing. We assess a number of things when we interpret body language, and context is another thing. When somebody's approaching you, is it a friend that you're bumping into in the street? Is it your neighbour that you met in the shops? Is it a complete stranger who's about to mug you? You know, it's context matters. So we read context as well. So part of the issue that I have with body language and Phil and Kat is that you're essentially getting this cut off screen bit. You're not seeing the whole of the body language, especially with Kat when she does this and she's like partly off the screen. She sits at the edge like that because Phil takes up the majority of the little box of webcam that we get. So it's difficult to see her as a whole, but you can read facial expressions. Let's be honest, you can read facial expressions. You can read some sort of micro gestures, I guess is the word. With Phil, that's always tricky for me because he fidgets a lot, and you know that's fair enough. I've got a back problem too. I get where he's coming from, but again, another part of it is when his eyes are darting, when he's looking around, obsessively checking the stream. Is he looking at the game he's playing? You know, Is he looking down at his phone to see if he's got the Hulk Hogan ball? There's lots of different ways, so I sort of struggle with a bit properly analysing films, because I always think maybe that was him looking at stream, maybe that was him checking this, maybe that was him checking that. But there is some stuff like the biting the nails. Definitely, he's mulling over that. He's thinking, how do I do this next bit? Because I have to tread carefully. That he does normally do that in times of anxiety. Psychology, the definition of anxiety is sometimes used contextually in other places as well. Anxiety is often referred to as a state as well as generalized anxiety disorder. So anxiety can be a high state, which tends to, actually with body language, tends to lead to a perpetual state of constant nervousness, which is obviously a detriment because you're constantly on edge. But I don't think that applies in this case. Well, not to Kat at least. Phil, you could say sometimes is on edge quite a lot, especially in recent, when I'm filming this, recent meltdowns on streams. Might be a bit on edge. But yeah, generally the body language is quite difficult because they remain seated, they don't really do much, so we are really going to have to sort of focus on facial things. And again, tone is another thing that we consider when we're reading body language. We are faster at we're faster at perceiving body language than we are at recognizing people. So tone is a thing that we also use when somebody shouts from ahead of you. We pick up the tone of the voice, we pick up the tone of the command and the posture of the person approaching before we recognize it as a friend or a stranger. So it's difficult to sort of interpret from that regard, but facial features and language is what I tend to focus on, because we're being denied everything below the neck, essentially. I mean, right now in the Ask the King setting, he's obviously, you've seen him like have his arms up over there and his legs up. He's confident. He's got that relaxed posture because he's letting his guard down. This is his stream. It's his show. He has picked the subjects that are going to be talked about, so he has complete control over most of this. You might occasionally get a troll message, but you fucking ignore it. This is basically the safest space for film. So there's, in this regard, his body language is quite easy to read. But we are denied that on gameplay streams because he shrinks it down and essentially cuts off below the neck, or below the shoulders at least. So yeah, it's difficult to sort of pick up on when he might be fidgeting because he's genuinely anxious. So yeah, his facial features are flabby and pallid like a corpse. So depending on whiteout levels like I'm currently experiencing, it might be difficult to read micro behaviours, but I do think it's worth at least considering comparing the two or three streams that Kat had, just to really look at her body language. At least the first one was like an Ask the King, so we have a bit more body language to work with, but because the Halloween stream was relatively shrunk down, that might be a bit more difficult to analyse. But yeah, because I didn't mention it during the course of this video, I'll have a look at that now. Well, not now, but in future I will have a look at comparing and studying the body language, because there's something there. But there's other things I want to do first. There's other things I want to talk about first, and I do want to answer a couple of questions and do some short videos. So yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. That'll do it. That'll be Ask the King, and now I'm going to edit this nightmare of a 3-part journey into madness. Shout out to Kat and Paul, as mentioned above. Thanks for the lights. One step closer to production values. It's going to be great. And big up Super Crazy and Remy Sky for the wrestling shout-outs. We'll take Al Snow. Al Snow's in my boys' stable. I fucking love the Job Squad. I'll take Al Snow. Cheers, everybody. See you later.
So, how's it going? Pretty good. So what'd you do today? I've been sitting here all day, Beavis. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. So, you been getting any? No. Dun, dun, dun. So, what's on TV? I don't know, let's see. Yeah,